And welcome back to the Be Strong Show. I am your host, Michelle Shirley, CEO and Chief Heart Officer for Be Strong International. So, if you haven't heard, we are doing a 5K run in partnership with all of the other amazing nonprofits that are in Miami, of course, under the Miami Foundation. It is November 16th. Please check it out on our website. We would love for you to run, walk with us, jump across the finish line, whatever you can do to help us raise funds for the incredible work that we do here in Miami. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce to you our amazing local CEO of Kristi House. Her name is Amanda Altman, and she is here with us. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, this is great. So I know we see each other a lot in passing, and we're just like, we need to catch up. And then we end up like going through our daily nonprofit daily life, right?
Yes.
And we miss each other, but there was a call that I had with you that was so, I just want to say, so encouraging. And it's always good to find a partner in this work that you can just say, hey, what do you think about this and what's going on? You know, because we need that today more than ever. Yeah.
Definitely.
So I would want to start off with, before we get into the work of Kristi House, which I want to share with the audience, is an amazing organization with so much actually history, rich history of the connectedness of how you've been able to establish your network of support. I want you to really share a story, if you could, of how you were able to change a young person's life.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Thanks for asking that question. And actually, this is our 30th anniversary, 2025. So definitely a rich history. But recently, I got a call from somebody over at the state attorney's office. We work really closely with them. And she wanted to share with me the story of a young woman. And she was sharing it with me because the young woman's mother had called her to just thank her and to ask her to thank Kristi House as well. Because the young woman, roughly 16 years old, had suffered, really bad child sexual abuse, really left her traumatized. And, she was having trouble going about her daily life, but she also did not want to have to face the perpetrator in court. And when a victim won't face their perpetrator in court, it's really hard for the state attorney's office to then prosecute that case. But the mother had called to share that, through the therapy, the evidence-based therapy that her daughter had received at Kristi House and the advocacy services that she received at Kristi House, her daughter was really thriving in school. In fact, she had used her experience at Kristi House in her college essay. She was accepted into college with a full scholarship and was going to go on to study criminal justice, but also because of the support she received at Kristi House, she was able to testify against the abuser. And so, that's really stopping the cycle of violence. And so wonderful to see that young woman thriving, but also really good example of how the partnerships sort of work, because partnerships and collaboration are really the keys to what we do at Kristi House. So I just loved that story. It sticks with me every time.
I know. That's so powerful to see her life change full circle.
I know.
Right? Because of your interjection in that critical moment where she needed that support. That's amazing.
Changing her life and probably also, changing the course of others' lives without even realizing it, because if that perpetrator would have gone free, what would he have done? How many more people might he have hurt? So without even knowing it, that young woman's made a huge difference probably in a lot of lives.
Wow. And I'm sure you have many moments like that where you receive the phone call. Do you all share that with staff? Like, what is that like? And how do you take that in when you hang up the phone?
Right? Well, I can tell you, when I got that particular phone call, I was in tears. It just really, it makes me so proud. So yes, we always share it with the staff. The first thing I did was pick up the phone and call our chief programs officer and ask her to call our clinical director. And then at our next staff meeting, I gave a really big shout out to the therapist and to the advocate who had helped that young woman. But those calls really touch me. I think, anytime you're in the kind of work that we're in, sometimes we see the worst of humanity. And so in those moments, though, where we also see the best of it, we have to really recognize those, and we have to allow ourselves to really feel those and appreciate those and take them in.
Yeah. And taking them in, I think, is important even in this space because, like you said, we see so much of, I hate to call it that, the evil that just keeps growing and presenting itself in these certain cases. And when you can celebrate with a team to say this is a win, a big win, it keeps us going.
100%.
Right? It's the fuel.
Absolutely keeps us going.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. Incredible stuff. So then let me ask you, people would say, when I think about, especially looking on your website, especially the human trafficking cases that are happening in Miami, and people are flocking to Miami for all sorts of reasons, but there's this level of, concern really around human trafficking that's happening. People would say, look, if I even make a contribution, like, how would this stop it? It's such a big issue. And it seems so hard to tackle. What do you say to someone who's thinking that?
So it is a hard problem to tackle. And I would say you should be concerned because this is, we shouldn't be letting this happen in our city. And we need to find a way to stop it. And Florida ranks number 3 in the country for reported incidents of human trafficking, with Miami-Dade County ranking number 1 in the state of Florida. So it's a real problem here. But I can tell you that working really closely with our partners, the state attorney's office, law enforcement, other victim service providers, we are really making an effort to get out there and do a lot of prevention education in the community, raise awareness. We use events like FIFA, the Super Bowl, F1 that come to town. We use those as really good opportunities to raise awareness. So helping with that is, to me, education is the key to breaking these cycles and ending these problems.
Right.
But then you're also, if you make a donation, for example, you're also helping to serve the survivors. And that's critical because, again, we have to get them out of this life. We have to break the cycle. And the only way to do that is to get them back on their feet and back on a path to living wonderful, productive lives.
Yeah. Wow. And so do these victims stay on your campus? Tell me a little more about that.
Yeah, so we're actually, nothing that Kristi House does is residential.
Okay.
So our kids come to us, either they're living at home or with a caregiver, or they are in the custody of the Department of Children and Families, and hopefully living with a foster family. And for our human trafficking program specifically, we operate what's called a drop-in center. So the kids come really all day long. They can come, usually when school's in session, they're coming after school. Right. When school's not in session, they're there all day long, which is great. But at that location, we're providing, individual therapy, group life skills classes, which could include anything from financial literacy courses to nutritional courses to parenting courses. And then we also have a really specialized education and jobs program, so helping them get their GED, helping them get into college or a trade school or a technical school, and then helping them if it's get their first job or career pathing. We can provide all of those, and we have mentors, many of them who have lived experience themselves. We have advocates. Yeah. We have, we are a survivor-run program. So we have, I think that's a critical piece of our program, actually. So lots of wraparound services we provide at that location, and really the same thing throughout Kristi House. We provide a lot of wraparound services. And I just also always want to stress, we work with a lot of partners, and I think that's critical to our success.
Right. Yeah, because no one nonprofit can do it alone. You just can't. The problem is too big and systemic, big. Right? Yeah,
for sure.
Sometimes, yeah.
For sure.
Okay. Wow. So then tell me, we're going to go a rewind, right? How did you get to Kristi House? What is happening, right? What is your story?
Yeah, so I'm a trial lawyer.
Nice. And I found this out recently. I was like, Amanda, all this time, I had no idea that you were an attorney.
I am, yes. I went to law school. I practiced law for more years than I care to admit to, but I was a trial lawyer, actually doing nothing even close to what I'm doing now. I was doing a lot of toxic tort, so asbestos and tobacco litigation and medical malpractice litigation. I started my career in Miami at the U.S. Attorney's Office, so I had a wonderful career as an attorney, but at some point I felt like, like everybody, what's my purpose in life, right? What is it? Is it really to do this work? I was sitting on some nonprofit boards and so passionate about, working with nonprofits and really tackling some of these issues in the community. And it just so happened that my predecessor at Kristi House, and I was familiar with Kristi House, so I can't say I fully understood everything that went on there, that goes on there. But I was familiar with it. I had been part of the Junior League of Miami. I'm still part of the Junior League. I was a president of the Junior League, and so Kristi House had been a project we had worked on. So I was familiar with it, and my predecessor was ready to retire. And we knew each other a little bit, and we were connected, and it was all about timing in that moment. And I decided to make the leap and to go to Kristi House, and I've been there. This is my 7th year now. I'm in.
Wow! And
it was a good decision.
Yes, right. Very different from.
Very different, though I do get to put my law degree to use for sure in many different ways at Kristi House. So that definitely is good. But yeah, very different experience.
Wow. That's so cool. And so you say that you were working at the state attorney's office.
The U.S. Attorney's Office,
the
actually.
U.S. Attorney. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
All right. So then let me ask you, like, any regrets, anything where you said when you first walked in year one, like, what is going on? Right? Because it is the nonprofit world is different. It's different. It's fun, though.
No regrets at all, for sure. But I will say this. I think the beauty of my situation was ignorance is sort of bliss, right? I didn't know what I didn't know. I still don't know what I don't know, right? But I definitely back then didn't know what I didn't know. And I had a lot of confidence. It was maybe misguided. Like maybe it wasn't earned, it wasn't deserved, but I had a lot of confidence. And, I spent probably the first year really listening, not making any major changes at the organization, just trying to figure it all out, recognizing that at the time, the organization had a 23, 24-year history already. So they were doing something right. They didn't need me to come in and change everything. And I think that definitely served me well and served the organization well to really come in and listen to what was going on and not assume that I knew everything and knew better.
Right.
So
7 years.
Yeah.
That's a very unique number, right?
It is.
So I would ask you then, like, when you look back now, what's something that really stands out to you that you say to yourself, like, I really learned this well, or this was a real win that I'm proud of?
Oh, gosh. So a couple things, actually, and most of them are more recent, but the first one was, so Kristi House is a children's advocacy center. We're accredited by a national organization, and so there are certain standards that you have to meet. One of those is, we have to be affiliated with a lot of different partners, and best practices would say that the Children's Advocacy Center should be co-located with the Child Protection Team who provides medical services. We were not. The Child Protection Team is part of the University of Miami. We, we work very closely with them, but they were not located in Kristi House or vice versa. And so just this past year, we were able to relocate them. It's actually just been a year now that they've been in our building. So we were able to relocate them into Kristi House. We had to do a very large renovation.
I'm sure.
But we were able to move them in. And that really helps to make the process more seamless for the children.
Of course.
One of the goals that we have is to avoid and prevent any re-traumatization of children. They've already been traumatized. We don't want the process to re-traumatize them. And so this really helps it. So now our main location, it's Kristi House, it's the state attorney's office, it is the child protection team, and also 2 guardian ad litem attorneys. And so it really just, I think, makes the process so much more seamless for the children and for all of us. And so I'm very, very proud of that. The other thing I'm very proud of is also this time last year, we purchased in partnership with Mujer, a 31,000 square foot property down in Homestead. And that's a really underserved part of our community. So we're bringing not just our services there, which we already had a small office there and a presence there, but obviously we're enlarging that presence. We're co-locating with Mujer, but we're also creating a hub of nonprofits who can serve the community there. So I'm very proud of that.
That's awesome. Oh, that's so wonderful. I love that. There's definitely more collaborations happening than I've seen ever before.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's good to be forced in a way to get there, right? And then when you see the magic that happens because of it, you're kind of like, why didn't I do this? Why couldn't? And there's different reasons, right? The timing of things too and all of that. But I'm excited.
I agree. I think sometimes we see each other as competition.
Yeah.
And there's a variety of reasons for that, right?
Of course.
But we're not.
Yeah.
And we're only going to tackle these issues. We only have a chance at solving some of these problems, or at least mitigating them, if we work together on them. Yeah. And I think you're right, though. Sometimes it's circumstances that force us into these things. Yeah. But that's okay. And hopefully we learn, though, about how critical they are.
Yes, yes. And I think the magic that happens from it and the excitement that the community feels from it too. It's like, oh, I didn't know that you all were partners in this. So I can go to here and then go here and get these services and it not be overwhelming for a family and daunting of going through all these different types of services and processes to get help.
Yeah. Access is
cumbersome.
So important. Access to services is really important. So however we all can work together to make ourselves and our services and each other's services more accessible. I mean, that's a win for everybody.
Yes, exactly. And I'm glad that we can think that way more into the future. Yeah. And I'm excited about what's happening in Miami overall. So
me too.
We'll see.
Me too.
So we're going to step into our next segment, which is Social Yaks. Okay. You did tell me that you played it.
I have. I played it at the Miami Foundation one day. Nice. So I came pretty close, I think, to shedding some tears over one of the questions. So we'll see what today brings.
That's the effect that we have here at Be Strong. That's the effect that we have. I'm just kidding. So our Social Yaks game is really about connection and vulnerability and empathy. So hopefully you won't cry on the show, right? But it's a great way for the community to get to know who the leader is of Kristi House a little bit more, right? In a fun way. So you're going to pick the first card, and it's the polar bear. And I'll just ask this question. How much does a polar bear weigh? Do you know?
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
Enough to break the ice. So that's why it's the icebreaker level. Yeah, it's one of those. We do it every once in a while.
All right, here we go.
Pick the card and then read it to the audience, and let's see.
Okay, what's your favorite book? So this is actually an easy one for me. My favorite book is To Kill a Mockingbird. I've read it more than once.
That's a high school mandatory, I think, reading assignment.
I think it was. But I've read it more than once, which is rare. I don't read books usually more than one time. But I remember the first time I read To Kill a Mockingbird, and it was the first time that I finished a book, and I was really sad for it to be over.
Aww.
I just loved it so much. I loved the character of Atticus Finch. And I think that, that book probably, there were other factors too, of course, but that book really made me want to be a lawyer, and I didn't turn out to be a lawyer quite like Atticus Finch fighting for justice like that. But it was an inspiring character for me. So it's cool. A great book.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so the next level we have here, we get a little bit deeper. Getting a little bit more social. So you're going to pick up that yak card there.
What's something that you are grateful for? Well, there are so many things I'm grateful for, but I think I always have to start with my family. I'm incredibly grateful for my family. I have 4 wonderful siblings. I'm very fortunate that my mother is still living. I lost my father a couple of years ago, but I'm very fortunate to still have my mom. I even have a grandmother. She just turned 99. She's still living.
99. Oh, my goodness.
I have an incredible husband who is So supportive of the work that I do. You know, when I wanted to make the transition from being a lawyer to being the CEO of Kristi House, obviously that was a major conversation in our house. But he's my biggest cheerleader, my biggest supporter. We always joke that he's the lowest paid employee at Kristi House. I gave him a 200% raise last year and he's still making zero. I don't know how that happened, but he's incredible. And when I married him, I got 4 wonderful, incredible stepchildren. So I think at the end of the day, I have to say that's what I'm most grateful for.
That's so awesome. And you need that as just fuel to keep you going. The work is hard.
Yes.
The work is hard.
Yes.
So when you come home and you have that kind of support and in making tough decisions, even with families, it's not always, the administrative level of decisions, but there's very emotional, I wouldn't say emotional decisions, but decisions that cause such an emotional stirring in your soul that you have to make on a day-to-day basis at times. It's good to know you can come home and share that and cry it out or whatever it is that we do behind closed doors because no one knows the heavy lift that we're all carrying with this, right?
Yeah, but you're right. It's heavy work. It's very heavy work that we do every day. And we're dealing with very difficult, emotionally challenging subjects at work. And so definitely having that support system to go home to.
Yeah, it says something.
Really lucky for that.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's proud of you. I'm so sure he is.
He tells me he's great. I'm very fortunate.
Oh, it's wonderful. Okay, we're going deeper now.
Okay,
into the deeper level.
Oh, geez. What's something you would change about yourself and something you wouldn't? Oh, boy.
I'm like, don't say height, because when I walked in here, I was like, wait a minute, you're like 6'1".
No, something I would change about myself. So honestly, I have an issue where I take everything way too personally. Aww. And in fact, I was telling somebody last week that it felt like every day last week, somebody was upset with me for something, every day last week. And by the end of the week, it was like I was carrying all of this with me. And you have to stop and tell yourself sometimes it's really not about you, Amanda. Like, don't flatter yourself to even think that any of this is actually about you, because typically it's not. When we're upset and we're upset with somebody, and a lot of times it's really not about the other person, right? And so, but I have a really bad tendency. I take things really personally sometimes, and it weighs heavily on me. And I need to be a little bit better about not taking everything so personally. Yeah. So that, I think, is one thing I would like to work on going forward.
And I just knowing you for the time that I have, I think just even in this work, because it's such a selfless type of work, you find yourself wanting to really make sure everyone and everything is taken care of, right? And that can be draining, and that can be a lot. And we have to still share or save some of ourselves for when we go home and we're energized to be with our family. So I think that stirs in the mix too, that we're in this field where it's a very selfless type of work. And you often want to just keep people, just... you want enjoying the work, and you want them to be happy. You want them to be content with what's going on. And I get it. I completely get it. Yeah.
And you want them to be okay. I mean, I look at my staff, for example, our team at Kristi House, and they're incredible, and they're dealing with these really tough issues every day. And so I want them to be okay. I want our partners to be okay. I want our kids to be okay. So, it can be a lot, but you have to know not to take it personally. And so that's, like I said, it's a work in progress.
Yes. We're a work in progress. I'll join you in that. Okay, so this is the last one where we sort of take the time, if we played the game fully, we would take the time to share and exercise how we are empathetic towards one another. So I'm going to have you read the card, but I'm going to answer it for you.
Okay. What do you think is my greatest strength?
I would say in the time that I've known you, Amanda, I think your greatest strength is sharing your knowledge with others. I think you have been exceptional in just being this sort of like, this is who I authentically am, right? And even in sharing that, I mean, it's not typical that CEOs would share something that they feel like they need to work on, right?
Yeah.
But that's a beautiful strength. And so I would just say the knowledge that you share, your genuine, authentic self that you are continuing to become as a leader in your own right, and in this space and this work that is very difficult to do, I think that's your greatest strength, just being authentically you. And I think that that's what's going to continue to elevate your leadership style, those who follow you, your organization, all of this network of supporters that you have around you. You're just authentically you. And I think that's okay to be that. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So yeah. So I'm really excited about what's happening with Kristi House. I'm gonna have to come and visit your site. Yeah, I have to come and visit and take a tour with my team, though. I don't want to do it by myself. Yeah, I want to come with the team. I love what you're saying about, I feel like South Dade is just underserved. We were just having this conversation yesterday, and we're just like, can we get more services down here? It's like after Kendall, no one wants to drive past.
It's true.
Probably Kendall, right?
Yeah, it's true.
It's just a thing.
Because we kind of, when we were looking at the homestead property and everything, we were kind of looked from like Kendall Drive south and did an analysis of the numbers and things like that. And how many people really aren't being served?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So you've got a lot of work to do. I'm excited. We're definitely going to schedule a tour. And yeah, this was so fun to hear more about your work and just for people to get to know you and who you are in the community. Definitely wanted to showcase Kristi House and the work that you do. So if you want, you can take these last few minutes to share how can people get involved with you? How could they learn more about the work? And so forth. So
sure. Well, thank you. And thank you so much for having me, Michelle. I've really enjoyed this. But to learn more about Kristi House, the best way is really to go to our website, which is www.kristihouse.org. And you can really find a plethora of information on the website. We do a lot of prevention education, some of which is available via webinar, or you can sign up to take our webinars. And so I really highly encourage that because it's great information. I know every time I take one of our educational courses, I learn something new, and that's really focused on prevention. And so I think it's really important for everybody to know that, to have that information. You can also call us at 305-547-6800 with any questions. We have a lot of volunteer opportunities, especially at our main location on 12th Avenue. I welcome people to come in and take a tour. It's a great space and helps kind of put all the pieces together of who we are and what we do. And of course, donations are always welcome. Like everybody, we fundraise to meet our operating budget goals every single year. And so we're really appreciative of our donors and supporters. And we will be out there also for the Miami Foundation's Give Miami-Dade 5K. I'll be there, probably walking and not running, but very excited. We're getting pumped up for Give Miami-Dade.
I was just going to say that. I was going to say we are going to be out there, all the nonprofits and their leaders and their friends and their family all running for this 5K, which I think is fun.
It is kind of fun, right?
Fun
it's a good
to
way
see
to
everyone.
Kick it off.
Yeah, and I love seeing everybody.
Me too.
Yeah, typically we have to run and go when we're at a gala or an event, and then you just
stop and give a kiss on the cheek and say hello. You don't have a few minutes to actually chat
and have a good time and see us outside of our element a little bit, right?
A little bit, right?
I like it. So that's the end of our show today. Thank you so much for joining us.